Ayo, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a fantastic day or night, and welcome to the Trances dungeon for Mythril Mine, Very Hard. Now, the Very Hard mode for the Mythril Mine is very similar to the hard mode, at least in terms of elements and such. Once again, your magic attack is reduced by 50%, so you want to try and bring a physical team. Recommended characters are the same as hard mode. Matt and Tifa make good healers because they are more physical than Aerith. Tifa can also bring wind physical damage instead of being a healer. Lucia, Sephiroth, Cloud and Zack can all bring wind damage. Cloud with a splash of lightning and fire for the bosses that are weak to that. Recommended weapons again are the same as the hard mode. Pulse Gun and Dark Heavens are great because they bring wind and they also bring Circle Sigil Break. For healing, Lifeguard Wraps and Prime Number so that you have physical based healers. The rest of the weapons, grab some wind potency weapons. If you have Tifa's Motor Drive, great. Zack's Falchion, bring him, etc, etc. For materia, very much the same. Circle Sigil Break is the most important, along with wind materia or wind weapons. Fire is quite important as well, and poison, depending on which route you take. So we'll be facing our old friend, the dragon, and then the zoo. The Mad Anchor is here as well. And the Airbuster prototype shows his face again. Finally, the boss is once again Rude, with a couple of puppets. So let's take a look at the map. The dragon is up at the top right. And the rest of them are clumped up at the bottom. The bottom left is the Mad Anchor. And on the bottom right is the Zoo. And then further along the path, on the left-hand side, is the Airbuster prototype. You head off to the west, and you will find Rude in the west section. So, there are a couple of routes. There are actually plenty of different routes you can take. There's no one correct route. You just need to take the best route for the team that you're bringing. So I'm going to show 3 routes as examples. As I mentioned, there is so many different routes even besides for these 3. So route 1 is the early wind potency. You want to go to the Mad Anchor first, grab the wind potency from him, and then move on to the Airbuster and grab the wind potency from him. Then you can do either the dragon or the zoo, 3rd or 4th, and grab whatever you need from them. For my second route is the poison resistance route. This is if you don't want to bring a healing SNO for poison. You will take on the zoo first, grab the poison resist, then move on to the dragon, and you're resistant to his poison, so you can take him down, grab whatever you want, and then 3 and 4 you can do however you like. Finally, the full defense route. You take on the dragon first, grab the defense from him, and the Airbuster second and grab the defense from him. Then you can do the Mad Anchor and the Zoo and grab whatever you need from them. And that is just a few examples. So for my team, it is very much similar to my hard run team. I have Cloud with Murasame and an arrow materia. He's got lightning potency sub-weapons. These are his stats. And these are his R abilities. Then, just like the hard mode, I have Sephiroth as my wind DPS, 8k HP, 2.9 physical. His sub-weapons give him the following R abilities. I'm focused on wind, so physical attack boost 7 and wind 6 is as high as I can get it. HP 4 and a bunch of other stuff. And my healer once again is Aerith, because my physical healers are not up to scratch. So while she's not going to be bringing much damage with the 50% debuff, she's still there to heal, so that's good enough for me. Exactly the same sub-equipment as the hard run, with boost magic attack, magic ability potency, and heal, which is probably inefficient, but it's whatever. I also switch out one of her attack materials for a healing Essener for poison that I didn't show there, so don't forget about that. Now, before I get into the run, I just want to say that this run is going to be far from optimal. It does achieve an S+, and that's all that really matters, right? So you're probably going to be able to poke a lot of holes in my run, and that is fine. This isn't meant to be a perfect run. In fact, I only had enough time to record my first attempt, basically. I died once to the green dragon because I forgot to bring poison Essener. So I redid that and brought the poison Essener, and the rest I had no idea what enemies were what and what trance abilities they had. I just kind of winged it, and I still got an S+, so just keep that in mind. So I went straight to the green dragon, took out the ads first, and then of course defend against the poison streak, and make sure I have Aerith selected so that she has enough ATB to Essener as much as possible, as fast as possible. You could defend that Dragon Stomp, unlike me. And then just focus on doing as much damage as possible and keeping topped up on heals. And remember, this dragon has no elemental weaknesses, so just hit him with your best abilities. In my case, I have Zidane's Sword on Cloud, so I'm just using free energy because it is a powerful ability. Of course, he will use his Stream Phase Barrier, where you need to hit him with both Triangle and Circle Sigils, so I hope you brought at least one of each. Then once you've interrupted him, hit him with as much damage as possible, and preferably you should be able to kill him before he gets his Dragon Dive off, which comes after his Stream Phase. If not, then I recommend you use your Limit Breaks to finish him before he does Dragon Dive. That is that. You can make yourself some dragon skin boots and use them to walk on over to the next boss. For trance abilities, if you are very strong, you can take physical attack at the cost of physical defense, but the final boss hits really hard and some of the other bosses do too. So I actually went for a defensive option and decided to go with physical defense plus 50%. Again, depending on your team, you can either go physical attack 5% or physical attack at the cost of physical defense. Then you just need to make sure you have a really strong team and preferably something to buff your party's physical defense if you go with the middle option. The right option, the physical defense, is just an all-around safe option, so I'd recommend that for most people. Grab your goodies and move on, and as you run along this path you'll get a random battle. Just clear these mobs out. They are weak to both wind and lightning, if I remember correctly. Cool. Then the next bosses is a choice between the Mad Anchor and the Zoo. As you can see, this is my first run, so the little unknown portrait comes up when I get to them, and I'm not sure which is which, what the enemies are. So I basically flip a coin, and end up going with the zoo second. So this is one of those scenarios where it's do as I say, not as I do. Follow all of the advice and things that I've given you in the slides earlier. You can see the order of the enemies, you can see their trance abilities, you can see their weaknesses and what they do, what they resist. So use that to your advantage and plan your own route. My route, as I said, was just kind of a blind leap of faith. Of course, this bird is weak to wind, so take out his adds, hit him with wind, top yourself up, break his sigil with either triangle or circle, or both, and you should be able to finish him up after that. Easy peasy, I got 61k. And for the trance abilities, here's where you could have picked poison resistance and faced the dragon after the zoo. You can also pick physical defense down duration if you have that debuff. Or I just went with healing potency because the left is useless to me and the right is not so great for me. Only 2 enemies can have their physical defense reduced. So healing potency is good for me, I grab that. Make sure I can stay topped up. On top of that, I'm going to take a trance ability that reduces my healing potency by 50%, so that evens out. Now the Mad Anchor is a bit of an annoying one, so you want to take out his adds first. He's going to give himself resistance to one of your elements, and this is why in the beginning I said that fire is quite important, because he will most likely give himself resistant to wind first, and you want to hit him with fire. This battle is quite a long one because of his resistances and his tankiness. Just defend his moves, keep yourself topped up, and take him down slowly but surely. Of course, once he drops his resistance to wind, you want to go all out. Keep as much ATB as you can and hit him with wind as hard as possible. He was about to cast Storm Barrier there, so I figured I'd get my limit breaks, including my Ramu, out of the way before he's resistant to it. Now he's resistant to lightning. He has raised his magic resistance. Another reason why bringing a magic damage party to this dungeon is not a good shout. You already have the 50% debuff, and this guy raises his resistance as well, so you'll probably take hours to kill this guy. So physical damage, wind when his wind is down, thunder when his thunder's down, etc. And eventually he'll go down. And here you can grab wind potency at the cost of healing potency, which is, in my opinion, the best choice. You could also grab the wind resist down, but as far as I know, I don't think there is even a weapon that does that. I must be wrong about that, but let me know in the comments which weapon reduces wind resistance. So make sure your characters are topped up, use whatever you need to use, and then you can move on to a random battle, apparently. So just before the Airbuster is this random battle with the 2 birds. Hitting them with wind will take them down quite quickly. Now that that's out of the way, we can take on the Airbuster prototype. Once again, use the items that you need to use. I didn't know what was in store for me, so I used the tent. Take out the adds, and then you can take out the Airbuster straight afterwards. For him, he will use Ian Field pretty much as soon as the fight starts. So just hit him with lightning and wind until that goes off, defend against that, and then you can break his stream phase that comes straight afterwards and finish him off. So again, nothing new here, nothing we haven't faced before. Should be an easy fight. Airbuster is down, and for his trance abilities, all the trance abilities are good options, honestly. You can get physical attack, which you should have a physical team, so that'll be good. Wind potency, which the boss is weak to, that is also good. Physical defense is a really good shot because the final boss hits really hard. So I went with the physical defense and it worked out really nicely for me. Without both physical defense R abilities, or without something that buffs your team's physical defense, Rude might end up one-shotting one of your party members, maybe two. So you got to be careful of that. Grab your goodies, use whatever you need to use. I use an Aero Cocktail for Sephiroth as always, because he's my primary wind damage. Now it's just Rude. Take out his ads first as well. He will start off by buffing his physical attack. That is not a buff that you can remove, so don't bother with debraves. You want to make sure that you do wind damage to him as well while you are fighting the ads. Make sure you take down that gauge of his, or he will do massive damage and one-shot one of your party members. You can use defenses down on him, which is quite nice. I was waiting for all three of my limit breaks to be up, and then I used them. I'm glad he didn't kill Aerith while I was waiting for that, because she was super low. Eventually he will go into his stream phase, and before he does that, he puts one of your party members to sleep. So use the remaining two to do wind damage to him to interrupt that, and once it's interrupted, just switch to your strongest wind DPS and spam his strongest wind ability. And just like that, you will have completed this dungeon with an S+. As you can see, my run was completely blind, and it was my first run, and I still got an S+. So once again, this run is not perfect. I don't claim that it's perfect. It's far from it, but it's good enough. So I hope that helps you. I hope you get an S+ too, and I'll see you in the next one.